In Cincinnati this weekend, the Bengals looking to beat the Raiders. That's normally not that hard. Bengals are having a devil of a time, an absolute devil of a time, trying to get some traction on the season. And things have been cranked up a couple of notches off the field involving their quarterback. So if you didn't see this, maybe not. We have some audio we're going to play for you here. But Bengals star quarterback Joe Burrow. Remember him? Yeah. Boy, I like Joe Burrow, but man alive, that's not going well in Cincinnati. So Joe Burrow was asked what he thinks when he sees teams like the Bills and the Ravens and the Chiefs, the other contemporaries of the Bengals, in theory anyway, in the AFC going out and making trades at the deadline. And what did he say? Well, let's go to the audio tape. Here we go.
Arguably the three elite teams right now in the AFC, all making moves, Bills, Chiefs, and Ravens. What goes through your mind when you see those teams getting better?
That's not my job.
Do you ever wish that the organization would give you another weapon or two, or on either side of the ball?
It's not my job.
Okay. That's not my job. I got it. That's the line. That's not my job. So let's parse the words. Parse the words of Joe Burrow, the question, as you just heard. The audio we played. Joe Burrow says, it's not my job. When asked about the Bengals' lack of moves at the trade deadline, which is Tuesday, there's also some kind of election that day. So how does this hit you? How does this hit you? I've got tow truck, McDonald's, and Wild. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make the Baba Ganoush is what we're going to make, the Baba Ganoush. So first of all, this one hits me like a canned ham, right? Like a canned ham off the top of a building. And here's why. It is a canned answer. It's obvious, right? Joe Burrow is a made man. You know it. I know it. Every man, woman, and child knows it. Joe Burrow cashed in the Ohio lottery. He got one of those $275 million contracts. After taxes, that's about $40 million. But it's still a lot of money. He's in good shape financially for generations. And Joe Burrow, in this little back and forth with the media, he was driving a tow truck. He was towing the company line is what he's doing here. And that said, his body language, which you cannot see because this is an audio-only platform. So for our blind listeners like Inca Terror and Blind Scott and Legally Blind Brett and all these other guys, Emmett the blind Seahawk fan, and so many others who are blind, I will describe to you the body language, which was a dead giveaway, the body language. Burrow had pouty lips, pouty lip Burrow. He did while he was answering. He had this smirk that suggested he was irritated. So not only pouty lips, but a smirk. Guilty. Now that said, when you take a couple of steps back and you look out at the Serengeti for the Bengals, because that's where do the Bengals run on the Serengeti? I don't know. But if you look at the Serengeti, what does Burrow need? He's got Jamar Chase on one side. I know T. Higgins has been hurt, but you got T. Higgins on the other side, in theory. They went out and signed a left tackle. They improved the offensive line. If anything, this is a case of underachieving, untapped potential in Cincinnati, and failure to meet expectations. That's the problem. No trade is going to save the day. Now, page 2. To the Bayou we go, where the Saints, trying to get out of the doldrums, they lost 6 consecutive games, the po' boys of the NFL, but quarterback Derek Carr, he's back. That's right, Derek Carr. He says that as he prepares to return 3-game absence because of the oblique injury, Carr says, I am no savior, he said, prior to the matchup with Carolina. So Derek Carr says he is, quote, no savior for the Saints. Your thoughts on that? So my thoughts on this, no lies detected. I agree. He is not the savior. We agree. Me and Derek Carr agree. He understands his place in the pecking order of the NFL. Carr is not a franchise-changing player. New Orleans has come absolutely unraveled. The defense blows, right? They can't stop anybody on defense. The offense has been bad. But the offense wasn't great even when Carr was playing the last couple of games. He's missed the last 3. They've lost 6 in a row. So you can do the math on that, and everything's bad. Derek Carr, you know what he's like? He's like going to McDonald's late at night. You want to get a nice cone, a vanilla cone, or a McFlurry, and you get up to the drive-thru and you say, I'm sorry, the machine's not working. Derek Carr is a soft-serve machine from McDonald's. Not dependable, not reliable, and when you really want him to perform, he doesn't show up. That's pretty much it. Now, you shouldn't need a savior playing the Carolina Panthers, for God's sakes. They blow. And they're starting Bryce Young, who can't play. That said, the point spread, that's a pretty big number. That's a pretty big number there. New Orleans and Carolina, last I checked, it was like 7 points over on DraftKings. All right, final thought. We quickly pivot to the NBA. And why? Why not? Why not? The venerable retired sports columnist from the Boston Globe, media pundit Bob Ryan. Bob Ryan's got to be like 1,000 years old at this point. So Bob Ryan has sounded off on the plague of pro bouncy ball, the three-point shot. He gave me a long rant recently, Bob Ryan. He said, for me, the three-point shot is the single worst thing to happen to basketball in my lifetime. He also pointed out how it started as a gimmick and has stuck around, much like the designated hitter started as a gimmick in baseball, and that has stuck around. A lot of these things start as gimmicks, and then they stick around. So Bob Ryan's all upset. So the question, Bob Ryan, longtime basketball pundit, believes that the three-point shot, the worst thing to happen to basketball in his lifetime, and he's really old. How does that sound to you? So this sounds to me like it's on track, right? Viewership, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the NBA is absolutely hemorrhaging an audience. It is really bad. Like, it's terrible. The players have killed the product, and no one's watching. The opening night doubleheader, which that small cable channel out of Connecticut had, they were down 42% year to year. They lost 42% of their audience. And the opening week ratings for the NBA across the board, terrible. 30, 40% declines in audience. It's bad. Now, the NBA is going to claim, it's the election or what. No, it's not. It's not that. The product is garbage. I saw a video of President Trump driving a garbage truck. Well, Adam Silver should be driving a garbage truck. He should be driving that because that's the product they're selling during the regular season. Now, I enjoy the NBA and the playoffs, but the regular season product, the players are soft. The league allowed them to get away with this for years. They tried to stop it last year, this load management bullcrap. So last year they tried to stop it. Now this year you've had Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and several other players just announced we're not playing back-to-back games. We physically are unable to play back-to-back games. In a league where years ago they played 3 games in 3 nights in 3 different cities, and now back-to-back games is verboten. The players are so soft, they're not into it, they don't care, and eventually the fans realize, well, we don't care either. You know, you don't care, we don't care. It's a plague. It is a plague. And Adam Silver is responsible. He allowed this to go on unfettered, and now here's where you have it. As far as the obsession with the 3-ball, and it is bad. And that's another thing that's changed. I remember when they started the three-point shot years and years ago. Originally, it was an emasculating shot. And that used to matter, right? Now it doesn't really matter. But at the time, it was like, the three-point shot. You're like a wuss if you shoot three-point shots. And teams would have one guy who was a three-point specialist. That's it. One guy. Like Craig Hodges of that era, Dale Ellis was mostly a three-point specialist. But the teams, Steve Kerr, who's coaching the Warriors, was a three-point specialist. That's it. But the stars didn't shoot. Magic Johnson didn't shoot three-pointers. Michael Jordan hardly shot three-point shots. And it was seen as unbecoming. Now, if you don't shoot 3-point shots, you can't play in the NBA. There's no place for you. And this is a byproduct of the nerds. It is, right? 3's worth more than 2, and so we'll shoot 3s. That's it. And it's wild. It goes by, I go by the quote of Oscar Wilde. Everything in moderation, including moderation. Everything, right? I mean, you got to have a balance. It is pop-a-shot. It is pop-a-shot is what it is right now. And people aren't watching. They're not.